Hey, Salvador Raven here. Welcome back to the Crowdfunding Demystified YouTube channel. And on this channel, we talk about crowdfunding, Kickstarter, and really how to get your project fully funded, right? So this is about monetizing your passion. This is about bringing a new product into the world, whatever that is, a gadget or a gizmo or something more on a creative side, a novel, a book, right? We'll try to share with you the tactics, the techniques, the strategies, and the tools in order to get that happening in your life and achieve more success in that way. So on today's video, you're gonna kind of actually see some of my teachings. It's a little bit embarrassing, quite frankly, because you're gonna see some of my early videos as well. So a lot of these actually stand the test of time, but we also updated a lot of the content as well for you. So you're gonna see some of my early videos there. You're gonna see a little bit of me, the history in this industry, being in this industry since 2012, and to really kind of growing and learning so much and codifying all these tactics for you. You're gonna hear a little bit about that. But in addition, this is really about you. This is about what are the things that you really need to get squared away in order to get a fully funded project. So hopefully some of these quick Kickstarter tips are gonna get you there much more quickly, in the same way that if you're like climbing a mountain, right? It makes a lot of sense to have a guide. It makes a lot of sense to have the right equipment. It makes a lot of sense to be following a trail that's already blazed there for you versus trying to hike up a mountain pass and kind of make the trail at the same time, which is kind of difficult, right? So hopefully that helps you in today's video. In addition, in the middle, I'm gonna be sharing with you a special link that I think you're going to like a lot when it comes to really quickly understanding how this whole entire process works to get a project funded. And finally, I got a link for you before we get started. If you are new to this channel and you wanna learn exactly how Kickstarter works, kind of the ins and outs of it on the basics level, and understand what you gotta do in order to get a project out there, go and check out my free course on Kickstarter, which is at the link I'm about to mention at crowdcrux.com/Kickstarter. That link is crowdcrux.com/Kickstarter, crowdcrux.com/Kickstarter. Just go there, enter your name and email, and we'll start sending some videos your way. That being said, let's jump right in to today's video. Let's talk a bit about the fees that you're going to incur on Kickstarter. So the fees, Kickstarter obviously has to charge you a fee in order to keep the site running, in order to pay their staff, etc. So you're going to be incurring a 5% fee if you hit or exceed your fundraising goals. So if you have a successful campaign, you're going to have a 5% fee plus transaction costs. So transactions will be like the credit card processing, etc. That's going to add to the fee. So the actual, at the end of the day, might be around 8%. It's going to vary depending on where your backers are coming from, the credit card processing, all that kind of stuff. So you can look more on the Kickstarter website if you want to learn more about the fees, but that's the only fee when it comes to the actual platform of Kickstarter. It's free to launch a campaign on Kickstarter. It's free to go out there to put your idea out there into the world and to see whether or not this is something that people like or don't like. So the only fee is if you are successful on Kickstarter. Now, when it comes to the live page, you're gonna need a few different things. So you're gonna need a video, you're gonna need compelling reward tiers or things that people can buy into or pre-order once you go live with the project. You're gonna need copywriting or basically the campaign text. You're gonna need GIFs and images to make the page, sprucing it up, make it more lively, make it more visually appealing and interesting. These are all the things you're gonna need in order to have an offer, a compelling sales page, a compelling, something you can show people and they emotionally, it evokes excitement. They want to become a backer. They think this looks really cool and they're drawn in by the promises behind the product of what it can do for their life. Or they're sold based on the story that went into creating this. If this is more of like a nonprofit fundraiser or something like that. So this is like, I would say, the bare bones to having a successful project, but there are a lot more things that you can do that go into that. Friends and family, really important. Now, when it comes to technology projects, these are sort of on the other end of the spectrum because you're creating a product that solves a problem. So typically with a technology project, you have initially a group of family members and friends and first and secondary connections that sort of form that initial basis, that tribe, if you will, to get the attention out there for your campaign. But after that, it's pretty much all strangers. So you can have a technology campaign where 20% of the people or their friends of friends, etc., and 80% are coming from strangers.
people that have never met you before, people that discover you organically on Kickstarter, people that respond to your Facebook advertisements or they hear about you via social media or a news story. You can have 80% coming from strangers under the technology category. So as you can see, your overall Kickstarter marketing strategy is going to be different depending on which category that you launch in.
So for the way I first start is, it's kind of hard to see here with the light, but I just have promise written here on the top, then I have a little line here, so I'll write promise. Then I get into dividing between the benefits and then the features. So promise is like a really big, obviously it's very broad and general. The benefits are basically all of the things that this product is going to do for someone and improve their life. And in layman's terms, I'm not talking about like a 32 gigabyte hard drive that this computer system has. I'm talking about being able to store all of the photos of your grandson and all the photos of your family on one simple hard drive, right? And not having to flip through lots and lots of photo books in order to go back and browse through the memories that you have with your family. That's more of a benefit. The functionality is 32 gigabytes of hard drive space, right? So you think of almost the functionality, I think of it more as the logic side of the brain. So it's a little bit hard to see here, but on one side I have benefits and on the other side I have functionality. So big promise, benefits, and functionality. The benefits are supported by the functionality of your product. And this is very important because this is what drives the entire pre-launch. So this is kind of like the whole foundation, if you will, behind doing a successful campaign, a successful ad campaign or a successful marketing campaign of any kind. So first of all, you're gonna start to think a little bit about the big promise that you have for your product, and you're just literally gonna brainstorm. I would recommend spending at least 30 minutes, if not an hour, and just writing out literally all of the big promises that you think you could have. And typically this is gonna be something that's kind of life-changing in some way. It's a point A to point B. It's a major transformation. And a reporter also has to do that. They're not just like coming up with story ideas. They have an audience that they have to serve. They are in the business of getting traffic to their website and monetizing that traffic with advertising. So then naturally they have to write about things that people are curious about, want to know about, or are interested in. Otherwise, they're not going to get any traffic, they're not going to get any advertising revenue. And that's a very, very big distinction, because as you are approaching these reporters, you have to keep in mind that it's your job to convince them that this story is going to get them traffic, that this story in some way is already being talked about online, or that this story has merit. It's genuinely newsworthy, improving that. Or in some way it evokes an emotion. It has controversy around it. It has an emotion of excitement. It's cool, it's new, it's innovative. Or even just it makes people smile, and it's an inspirational story. It's your job, or the PR agency's job, to sell that story to the journalist or the reporter. The third myth is that you really need a super big social media following. You need lots of people who are backing you, or people who know who you are. And if you don't have a big following, it's not even worth it to do crowdfunding. That could not be further from the truth. I actually have a great YouTube video out there where I was at this Latinas in Business conference, and I gave this really intensive talk going through some of the secrets of crowdfunding. That video is public out there on YouTube. And in that talk, I said that the majority of campaigns is actually not their social media following that contributes to so much of their funding. It's actually their email list. And more than that, what kind of jumpstarts this process is your friends and family and the people that are close to you, in order to get a little bit of seed funding to seed and prime the pump. And then you start to get discovered by other backers and super backers on the Kickstarter or the Indiegogo marketplace. You start hitting some key milestones. You might go out in an Indiegogo newsletter or a crowdfunding newsletter of some kind. You might get more pickup by journalists. This is about designing a launch event. And there is a way to do that that goes beyond just social media. Of course, social media does help. It's obviously going to bring in some backers. It's going to create way more credibility for you. You can also test out some creative stuff. But that being said, you don't necessarily need a large following. So if you want to learn how to actually get a project fully funded, and really a little more the nitty gritty, like the tactics that go into that, how to get a rush of funding, how to get a river of funding right to your project, as well as tons of visitors, even if you don't necessarily have a big following online or even any kind of online following whatsoever. That's what I want to share with you today. So I'm putting on what I call a free web class that you can check out in the link down below in the description. It's going to share with you exactly how to smash your goal on Kickstarter. I'm talking about blowing past, blowing through this sucker. So if this sounds interesting to you, go and check out the link down below and you can enroll in this free training, this free class, this free web class that I'm putting on. I hope that you enjoy it, hope that you like it. Bring a notebook because you're going to want to take some notes while you're there as well. This is something that if you're serious, you need to dedicate some time, put aside that on your calendar so you can really dedicate to learning and absorbing the information I'm going to be sharing with you on this special web class. Go to the link crowdcrux.com/masterclass. I'm going to share that link down below. You can go and check it out and you can attend, and I hope that you enjoy it. That being said, let's get back to the video. But to manufacture social proof initially. And what I mean by that is, if you come to a crowdfunding campaign page, no one has backed it, no one has bought the product, no one has supported it, no one has shared it, no one has commented about it, you're probably gonna come up with a reason in your mind like, this is like weird, like why is no one interested? Probably there's something scammy about this, or probably like this is not realistic. I'm not even gonna take a second to watch the video, or it's the same feeling you might get if you're walking on the street and you pass by a restaurant and no one is in that restaurant. You're like, oh, that's awkward. They might have like shitty food, or they might just not be good, or whatever reason you're gonna come up with your mind not to go and read the menu and see what kind of food they have or go into the restaurant. Not everyone behaves that way, but a large number of people do.
Want to take all the stress out of fulfilling your Kickstarter rewards? Fulfillment is the turnkey solution that puts product delivery on autopilot. The Top Campaigns uses trusted high-tech provider to store, package, and ship their products. Focus on growing your business. Leave shipping to the experts. Don't wait. Get a custom quote from Fulfillment today. Link in the description.
So with social media, the first hardest part is just beginning, getting content, creating your profile. So if you have an action item, it'd be great if you could write this down. Begin your social media profile. Start putting out just a little bit of basic content and starting to research and look at other people that are part of your industry, and that will go do wonders for you. The next is to begin to get a little bit more deliberate about thinking about your customer. So again, social media is basically a TV channel, and people are tuning into your channel. And if they like what you produce, they're gonna wanna consume more content from you. So think a little bit about, for the person that I'm creating this for, which is really at the end of the day your end customer, what kind of content might they want to see? Do they want to learn more about your product? Do they want to see the various iteration stages as you're getting it from prototype to full finished product? Are they interested in maybe like travel tips or advice? If it's an article that you're posting on Facebook, what are some of the ways that you could potentially engage that community that you're beginning to build from scratch? What are some of the ways you could ask them questions? What are some of the ways that you could have an insider joke even with them, or use memes? What are some of the things that you can share that are freaking cool about the products that you are making or that you're working on? And beginning to brainstorm that just on a simple page of paper. That's the next step that I really want you to go through, because that's then gonna determine and start to give you some different ideas, almost like connecting the dots of some of the different types of content. So you'll begin like, oh, maybe I could do some video content a little bit. Maybe I could do some photos using Canva and design some stuff there. Maybe I could do this, maybe I could do that. Just begins to open up that world of possibility in your mind a little bit, and you'll be also drawing from the first stage, which I told you to go and do a little bit of research there. So the next stage is just brainstorming a lot of different types of content that you might be able to produce. According to my math here, we would need 500 backers at the $200 level in order to raise $100,000 on Kickstarter. 500 customers, 500 backers over the span of say 45 days, 30 days, 60 days, doesn't really matter, right? But you would need 500 customers in order to hit the six-figure number. Now, I think that's so important because when we're just starting to learn about marketing online, we think we need like thousands of customers, we need millions of visitors, we need so much traction. And this was kind of my thinking when I was getting started in the industry back in 2012. I'm like, you need so much volume, you need lots and lots of people. But when you really do the math, you don't necessarily need thousands and thousands of people in order to raise $100,000 on Kickstarter, right? You need the right price point,
you need the right number of people backing at that price point in order to do the math and to be able to hit that 100K number. Now, I have some other great videos out there when it comes to other things that you might not be thinking about, like failed credit cards and canceled pledges and all that kind of stuff. So number one, I recommend you pick up a copy if you do of the Kickstarter launch formula, where I detail a lot of this stuff. I have an Audible version. I'll link it up down below. Also got a paperback version and available on Amazon. Also, some great courses out there when it comes to Kickstarter and crowdfunding that I recommend taking, because it walks you through a lot of the stuff that you got to know. But basically, that being said, it is realistic. There are 500 people out there that are willing to buy a new product that comes out. There's a lot more that goes into it, but we're just kind of staying very high level.
It's not about how much funding you get over a long duration. It's about how much rush of funding you get in a short period of time. And this is called the velocity of pledges, the velocity of pledges. And there are different places documented where Kickstarter and Indiegogo both indicate that this is part of their algorithm. There are other components as well, things that go beyond what an average person would know without knowing inner workings of the company. However, I suspect other things. For example, if you are a project we love, if you have a very high conversion rate on the page, if you have a lot of people who check out and click it and then back it, probably also going to be factoring in to the algorithm. But the main one is velocity of pledges as it relates to the pre-launch. Why is that important? Here's why. Velocity of pledges is all about how much funding are you getting in a small period of time, the velocity, the speed at which they're coming in. So let's just say you raise $100,000, okay? And let's just say you have, I don't know, 500 backers, okay? Or we can even say like 1,000 backers if you want to make it that number. And that happens, we'll say, over the course of 60 days, that you get that amount of funding and that number of backers. Great, awesome. That's a certain level of velocity of pledges, and we'll say that's example A, okay? Example B is someone who raises the same amount, gets the same number of backers. However, instead of that happening over the course of 60 days, that happens over the course of 3 days. There's a higher velocity of pledges in that example.
Hey, hope you enjoyed today's YouTube video. My name is Salvador Brigman, and on this channel we talk about everything crowdfunding. And what I'm about to share with you can literally have the most profound impact on your project of all the things that you could possibly do. And also, in my opinion, in your life. And I don't say this lightly, it's just because I've had so many great success stories. I've had so many testimonials. I've had so many people who have reached out and said, Sal, you have changed my life. And I feel so appreciative and grateful for that. Like even the fact that we can generate results for you is amazing. But the fact that you go a step further and this becomes something that then you lead on to running a whole business around this Kickstarter campaign, right? Or being able to do multiple campaigns and really this being the start of a whole new brand, a whole new direction for your life, a whole new career, quitting your 9-to-5 job. I have so many of these stories that I've documented on the Crowdfunding Demystified podcast, and I tried to share that with you. So if you are interested, one of the things that I do is one-on-one coaching with students, okay? So my schedules usually are pretty busy today, but I always make time for this. So if this is something that you're serious about, is this something that you want to launch, you kind of want to discover not only is this the right path that you're going, are you missing any kind of checkmark items that you have to have when it comes to coming out with a new product or coming out with a Kickstarter campaign? Is your approach to marketing the right one, right? When it comes to this, because if you have the wrong approach, you're gonna be just wasting a ton of money on this sucker. I had one guy who was wasting thousands of dollars on a videographer, and I'm like, bro, what are you doing with your life? This is not the right way to go about it. And we were able to save him a ton of money that he then put into his ad budget in order to have an explosive launch to his campaign. I've had other people who, after they go live, then do another coaching call with me, man, because they're like, dude, I got so much value out of the first one, and I've already raised 25K with this thing, right? I'm talking about a recent Indiegogo campaign. I want to do a second one, right? So this makes a lot of sense for you if you really are serious, if you're investing in your business, if you're investing in yourself, in your own training, your own understanding, making sure that you have the questions as well prepared, the things that you maybe aren't as sure, but also, even if you're a beginner, one of the things that I specialize in is being able to understand what's holding people back and also where your uncertainty is. So we can kind of level the playing field so you're not competing with other people who have a lot more knowledge, skills, resources, etc. for you. How can we kind of level the playing field that way and make the best use of the resources that are at your disposal? And the final thing I'll say here is that you should only book this, again, if you are really serious. And here's why. I had a recent coaching student who said to me basically to the fact that I didn't really like the fact that you weren't really entertaining on the call.
I'm like, bro, is it my job to be entertaining, right? So on these, YouTube videos, I love to, get into my emotions. I love to be excited because I am so excited for you, man. I am so excited you're coming out with a new product. I am so excited that that product is going to impact other people's lives. Who knows? It could be something that's now going to be in my room someday, right? It becomes a part of other people's lives. It becomes a start of a whole new business. It becomes a start of a whole new brand, and you launch multiple Kickstarter campaigns, right? And you're coming on my podcast to share about that as well. Like, it can be so exciting. But at the same time, I really do take my calls seriously, and a lot of times I'm listening. A lot of times I'm asking questions. A lot of times I'm thinking things over, right? So view these calls as really, in the same way you might hire a lawyer, or you might hire a doctor, or you might hire someone, an accountant to look over your books. You really need to have people in your corner who are subject experts that understand what they're doing and that can help you and go beyond just the fun entertainment aspect that we try to cultivate on this channel to make it more fun to learn, right? So if that sounds like something that you are serious about, go to this link I'm about to mention. You can book a one-on-one coaching call with me at the link crowdcrux.com/coaching. Again, that link is crowdcrux.com/coaching, crowdcrux.com/coaching. Just go to that link. You can book a one-on-one coaching call with me there. And I hope that you bring a notepad, right? So we can take some notes and make sure that we get this all squared away ASAP. Thank you so much for joining me. Give me a thumbs up if you like this video. Come subscribe for more content like this, and I will see you next time.